Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner, classic, lesson known classics. This is episode number 2017 and 1911. Now, these two trades I've got here are from two well-known Batman writers. The first book came out just last year, and it's a prequel to the current Action Comics run. We have Superman and the Authority. You're probably thinking, wait, what's up with the S? Well, I think that probably Grant Morrison probably took that from Kingdom Come. Now, you're probably also noticing something else about Superman. He has got white on his hair. Yeah, he's actually dying in this miniseries. So, by the way, this miniseries is only a whopping 4 issues. And the way it's written, it almost seems like Grant Morrison wanted to do more here, but limited series. Now, those of you curious, though, who the heck are the Authority? Well, they're creation of Mark Millar, and Mark Millar used these characters as the basis for the Ultimates. Yes, and we have 2 members of the Authority part of this lineup, Apollo and Midnighter. Though Superman now recruits them, but the first person recruits is Manchester Black. Now, you're probably thinking, was Manchester Black a creation of Grant Morrison? No, he actually was not. He is a creation of Joe Kelly and Doug Mahnke. Yeah. And we also have co-cast obviously, but he's part of a different group in this book. Yeah, and it's quite interesting though the fact that what they do with him here. Manchester Black is the most well-known member of the Elite. Yeah, he is. So, now, the thing is, when it comes to the Authority themselves, generally put Apollo Midnight are generally the most well-known members of the team. Yeah, and they still keep the fact they're still a gay couple. Now, Superman only has those 2, Manchester Black. He also recruits June Moon, aka the Enchantress. And here's the thing. Their base operations is inside the Fortress of Solitude, but it's in another dimension inside of it. And get this, their meeting table is the very same table used by King Arthur and the Knights of Camelot. According to Superman, he rescued from the second fall of Camelot. Now, they also show in flashback, apparently he knew JFK prior to him being assassinated back on November 22nd, 1963. I'm like, that's interesting. And the reason why that he's dying it's not explicitly revealed in this series here. They explain in their book that the reason is apparently he suffered from radiation poisoning. That's simply what it is. And he also recruits Natasha Steele, who is Steele. Natasha Irons. She's a daughter of the original Steele, John Henry Irons. She's his niece. And surprisingly, you only have just a small handful of people part of this team. You have roughly... They also look for a character named Light Ray, who's actually joins this group later on. And weirdly enough, excuse me, this group would later appear in the pages of Action Comics. Now, here's the thing. Why in the world they decided to... by the way, the main villain of this miniseries is the Ultra Humanite. You're probably thinking, who? Ultra Humanite. He is a former scientist who was transformed into gorilla thanks to, get this. Now, he also had this thing where he also allowed to body swap with a female actress for some reason. Yeah, he liked doing that for some reason in order to avoid capture. I believe her name was Dolores Day, I believe her name was. So, in order to avoid doing that in the future, he decided to take a white gorilla from Gorilla City, remove its brain, put its brain in his, and thus creation the Ultra Humanite. Yep. We also have a character named Light Rain here. She is a character from Tangent Comics. Yes, they bring a Tangent comic character as part of this group. Yeah, as for why in the world Grant Morrison chose her, I don't know. You probably think, is she creation of Grant Morrison? Nope. And you might be asking, is there anybody in this book who is a Grant Morrison character? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I don't know. I know Chantris isn't. He's a creation of the late Bob Haney. So yeah, we put this team together to basically try and continue Superman's thing of like protecting what he does in a secret. This actually is, you can think of this as one of two groups Superman's part of, the other course being the Justice League. Now, oddly enough, this trade paperback does not collect the Batman Superman one-shot, The Authority special. Yeah, I'm not really sure why it's not here, given the fact that it's just a prequel to this miniseries. But this book is really good. This book is 9.5 out of 10. It came out just last year. Now, the Authority themselves would actually, well, mostly put, they would in fact appear, like, even after this miniseries wrapped up, like, mostly in Action Comics. Oh, I thought it was Mark Millar. Just basically, it's the creation of Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch. Now, of course, aside from this miniseries, they also appeared in, of course, Action Comics, the Batman Superman Authority special, and Superman War World Apocalypse one shot. Mm-hmm. Which is inclusion of the War World stuff. Mm-hmm. Yep, but that's pretty much it. So, I have kind of reviewed parts of basically what they've basically done so far. Mm-hmm. Now, something though, aside from the fact that Grant Morrison created this version of the Authority, like, if you think about it, they don't really have anything, he doesn't have really much to do with the Authority at all. My only guess is because, well, he's a British writer, and I guess DC likes having write Superman. Despite the fact his run for Superman, his Action Comics was very mixedly received, but this is definitely a good book. I got hands to that one. Next up is, sadly, the last comic book to be published by a major company, written by Chuck Dixon. Yes, this book came roughly 2 years ago, and for some reason, this is his last book. I have checked. There is no other comic books he's doing. He's just doing novels nowadays because apparently he's been blacklisted for being conservative. Which, that's stupid. You blacklist a good writer like Chuck Dixon? I don't know what these people are thinking. We have Robin Hood Justice, which was his second and last Robin Hood miniseries he came up with. And also, here's a fun fact. Did you know this was also the last Robin Hood miniseries released to date? Because all Zenescope has done last year for Robin Hood is done a series of oversized one-shots. Yes, seriously. Yeah, in the past 1 year of Zenescope, 1 year since this book came out, all we get is basically a boatload of one-shots. And like, actually we did have one miniseries, a 2-issue miniseries. And that was it. I have honestly no idea why Zenescope can't release another damn miniseries. Like, she's a good character. Robin Hood definitely, this of course is a follow-up to The Curse, which was the first miniseries that Chuck Dixon worked on. Now, of course, Robin Hood is basically on her from the police department. She, of course, later miniseries runs into Maid Marian. And we also have where New York City is under control of the corrupt mayor. No, it's not Wilson Fisk with the power as the department man. Nope. Excuse me, that was 2 years after this. This is basically a mayor who's a woman who's got mind control powers. And in order to stop her using mind control, Robin had to kill her. So basically, she's on the run for murdering the mayor of New York City. Yeah, and for the last book done by Chuck Dixon, this actually is really good. I am planning on reviewing his other 3 miniseries he did for Zenescope. I do have his previous book he did, his second Van Helsing, so I have that basically in order right now from Walmart. That'll be in soon, probably the next couple weeks. So, in the case of his last official comic he ever did, the series he did for comics, it's good. I give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Yes, I kind of wish the comic industry didn't blacklist Chuck Dixon. Oh, by the way, his artist for this book was, his co-writer is David Vinici, That's just means the story. The artwork is done by Basu Cortis. Yes, and gotta love the way Robin Hood is drawn here. Just really good. Nothing bad about this miniseries. Nothing wrong here. They do tease something that today has not really much follow up on because one shots. That's all we're doing for Robin Hood. A series of boatload of one shots the past year, with the exception of a 2-issue miniseries. Actually, that was for Van Helsing, but that's all I've done for Robin Hood since then. Yeah. And they also end up a former bad guy's mansion, sort of a safe house, until the thing comes down in New York City. Mm-hmm. And they have this tagline back of the trade here. We have Zenoscope, graphic novels, over 10 million books sold. Yep. Now, I am planning on getting the other three miniseries he did. You're probably thinking, okay, before Zenoscope, before he basically books for that company, what books did he do before then? Like, well, for DC, the last book he did was Bane Conquest. That was the last official book, according to him. That was the last book he did for DC Comics. Yes, that was the last one. That was roughly 3 years ago, actually 4 years ago. At the same time he was doing that limited series, he was doing Van Helsing versus Werewolf and Robin Hood: The Curse. Yes, those two miniseries. Marvel. If you're curious though, what was the last comic he did from Marvel? You really want to understand? Now, I think the last comic he ever did for Marvel was, I'm looking at it very closely, it was Doom the Emperor Returns. That came out 20 years ago. That was the last comic he came up with for Marvel. Before he did his brief return to DC Comics with Bane Conquest, he did do a series of books for IDW. Yeah, he worked for IDW quite a while. The last book came out with that one was roughly 7 years ago. And that was a sequel to Winter World, a book he did previously. Was the second book he did. I think he did the previous book for Dark Horse. I believe so. I'm looking at it right now. Actually, it was for Ellipse Comics. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a miniseries that came back in the 80s. What did he answer that one? I'm not really sure. Honestly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, that's going to be pretty much it for Sick Club View. Stay tuned for next review, which is going to be... It was a good time once to hang out, okay? Next video. Bye.